but I just got cut off. If you're here, you can jump back on from the location that I was at, and it seems as if I lost now. But right now, I want to practically take you on a walk, and I want to share with you some herbs. So I found this herb, and it has square stems. There's a square stem, and it has opposite leaves. And when I crush the leaf, it's aromatic, but it's not that strong of an aromatic. So this is weak aromatic, but it is from the mint family. This is a herb called knobweed. Knobweed, KNOBWEED, knobweed. This is a herb that has anti-inflammatory properties. Bacillus button is antibacterial, antimicrobial, it's antifungal, and it's used in wound healing. So it's used externally a lot to heal wounds, and persons who have sores that's difficult to mend or to get better will take this herb, and they will beat it into a poultice, and they will apply it to the wound, and it will help to heal the wound. All right, so this is one herb that I found so far. I don't know, I'm trying to go back down the hill, which is where I was a while ago when I lost signal. And knobweed grows a lot here. Grows a lot here on the property. So it's from the mint family. Here's a herb. Because you will find, here's a herb that's very aromatic. It has square stems and opposite leaves, but it's not from the mint family. It's actually from the verbena family, Verbenaceae, which is the family that herbs like vervain come from. Opposite leaves, not very aromatic. And there's another herb that comes from the verbena family, and also has square stem, and it's a herb called cat's tongue. It's also bitter. So right now we're trying to identify as many square stem, opposite leaves, aromatic herbs that we can identify. And I want you for next week, I want you to try and identify as many as you can. And I want you to take pictures and send them to me. So I'll help you to identify the herb. Just try to take a good picture of the leaf and the flower, if it has a flower. And I'll send you back, I'll try and ID the herb for you. And then what you can do now is you can go and do your research if it grows a flower, what type of herb it is. All right? I don't know, not getting anybody else, but you'll see the recording. All right, so I'm going down the hill, and I'm trying to identify some more square stem, opposite leaf herbs. As I said, the mint family is usually a very big family. And as I said, mints are aromatics. And aromatics tend to make up, aromatics are warming herbs. They are not hot herbs, they are warming herbs. So they bring a gentle heat in the body, and they help to open up the channels of the body. So you usually find the expectorants, most of the herbs that make up the expectorants, most of the herbs that make up the decongestants, most of the herbs that make up the anti-catarrhal, which is what break up mucus and phlegm, are from the mint family. Because they're aromatic, they tend to be carminative in nature, so they also aid the digestive system. They help in digesting. They also help the nervous system because they help with circulation. They help circulation in the body. And so mints usually help with circulation, digestion, indigestion. Those are the organs of the body, because herbs tend to have a strong affinity to certain parts of the body, which is another very important thing that you need to take to bear in mind as you work with herbs. So I'm trying to see if I can find some more square stem opposite leaves. So I've only found the knobweed, and from my knowledge of touring this property, I don't think I'm going to find any more mint family herb. Are there any mint family herb? Any other herb from the mint family? Not that I can think of. All that I'll find if I walk the property are going to be more knobweeds. If I was in St. Thomas, then I would find herbs like horsebound, which is called horsebound. That's the American name. It's called manpiaba here in Jamaica. I would find herb like woman piaba, which is related to man piaba. I would find herbs like wild basil, sweet basil, African mint. Those are the herbs that I would find a lot in St. Thomas. But I don't find a lot of those here. But I'm going to go over and see if I can just find some more herbs with square stem opposite leaves. Some of you might find more than others, but I'm interested. I can't wait to hear what you have found. But once you can identify mints, then it would give you the basic tool to identify a large section of herbs from the plant kingdom. So remember, we're trying to work with raw material. So a lot of the herbs, a significant part of the plant kingdom is represented by mints, which is one of the reasons why you want to be able to know how to identify mints. Then after you identify mints, usually work the same way. Herbs from a particular family usually tend to have similar medicinal properties. All right, so if you're learning herbs, the best way to learn herbs, by the way, is by families, because when you learn herbs by the family, what you're learning is not a single herb. You're learning the property of a family. If you can't find one member of the family, then you have the option to use hundreds of other members of the family that work similarly. All right, so I want to take you over to our greenhouse because I don't want to be long with you in this part of the video, and I'm still trying to find herbs from the mint family while I'm doing so. But as I said to you guys, I really need your help. Last week, I went ahead and I bought some plastic pipes, and myself as well as other members of the kibbutz, we made a greenhouse, and we want to build this greenhouse to basically supply our table vegetable. But the vegetables that we want to plant are not vegetables that you can go and get at the market. We want to expand our option of vegetables, and we want to use indigenous vegetables. Oh, let me see. This looks like another, not a square stem. That's an aromatic herb, but it has round stems. A lark daisy. Don't have a lot of mints here. Mints like cool, hilly, high elevation. So I'm traveling to the greenhouse that we've created, and we did this last week. It's not yet completed. We need to get the shade cloth So if these videos are a blessing to you, and if you would want to share, I'm going to put a link in the description that would allow you to make a contribution. All right, so this is our greenhouse. So a greenhouse is made from water pipes, and these are some. And along this walkway here, along that walkway, is where we intend to put in some more greenhouse, so that we can put in our indigenous alkaline vegetables. So if you look, it's covered with this blue fabric that I bought, but it's not the ideal fabric. This is actually waste, because I do believe in recycling. So these are some recycled fabric that are used on construction sites to prevent cement material from escaping the construction site. So these were actually taken down, and I purchased them, and I've put them on the greenhouse. This is our compost. So these are recycled washing tubs. So I drive around and I collect washing tubs, and I disassemble them, and we use them to make compost stations. So this is actually a compost station, and we intend to build multiple compost stations across the property that we will use to supply our greenhouses. So basically, that's what we are doing. Really need your input if you can. And as I said, I'm going to put a link to the description as to how you can contribute to this endeavor. We want to build more greenhouses, and we want to basically put in more herbs, so that at least when I'm teaching, I can have on site, on the property, the herbs that I'm talking about, giving you a good visual representation of what is it that I'm talking about. All right, so I haven't found any more mints. Any more mints. Can't find any more mints. As I said, I've done an audit on the property in terms of what herbs are here. And I think the only mint family herb is the knobweed. Only knobweed. But I'm hoping that you would have gotten the principle, at least to the point that you can now go out and sample it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to taste the knobweed, because the goal is not just to look at the herb. In today's exercise, what I want you to do is to taste the herb and have a tasting relationship. So there's a sight relationship, which is seeing the herb and knowing what to look for, having a reference points of what to look for visually. But that's just one of the aspects, one of the tools that our ancestors used to determine the medicinal uses of herbs. Another tool that they used was tasting herbs. And so what they did was they would watch animals, they would watch the goat, and they would look at what the goat ate, what the cow ate, what the animals ate. And some plants, in order not to be eaten by animals, they've produced chemicals, bitter chemicals. The bitter chemicals are designed to be deterrents from animals not consuming them. So let me see if I can find a knobweed. So here's a knobweed. Another knobweed. So square stem, opposite leaves. I'm gonna go ahead now. And I said, somebody may be concerned. Won't you poison yourself? Now, here's what happened. Now, in nature, what nature has done is, as I said, nature protects itself. Plants protect themselves. And what they do is that they sometimes produce chemicals that act as deterrents, whether they are bitter chemicals or acrid or pungent chemicals to protect themselves. Some chemicals are poisonous, but here's the thing about plants, which is very different from drugs. And it's funny how they'll if you look at any herb that has powerful chemicals in it, and that's what it is. Herbs like herbs that come from the classes of like the duck flower family. Those herbs are very potent, but you would have to consume high amounts of those herbs in order for it to become toxic. There's hardly any herb out there that is poisonous, that if you induce a small amount, it's fatal. You usually have to consume high amounts of the herb. So that's one of the guidelines. You usually have to consume high amounts of the herb for it to become fatal. So even if the herb is even if the herb is poisonous, even if the herb has the potential to be toxic, you usually have to consume high levels of the herb. But once they identify a herb that has potentially toxic properties, the way they magnify the toxicity of the herb, it's unfair, because the drugs that are given as medicine are far more toxic, even in small amounts. All right? So, I'm going to taste this. So, because I want to deal with the issue of toxicity, and I want to dispel certain myths. So I do go around and taste herbs, and I do encourage persons to do so responsibly under the guidance or the supervision of an experienced personnel. But I want to put the disclaimer out there to say that most drugs are far more toxic in small quantities than any herb out there. Even the most toxic herb, you would have to consume high levels of the herb for it to be toxic. Why? Because a herb, even though it has toxic component, it also has other chemicals that neutralize the toxicity of the herb. So what it would mean is that you'd have to consume high amounts of the herb for it to be fatal. And so I believe it's unfair, the level of emphasis that is placed on herbs that are potentially toxic in comparison to the drugs out there that are even more toxic, even at lower dosage. All right? So just wanted to put that out there. So for those persons who are squeamish, or for those persons who are fearful, I just want to put that out there. And of course, when I show you what herbs to take, then there are always other herbs out there that are antidotal in their effect as well. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to taste this herb. What am I tasting? All right. So, was tasting anything? No. I'm tasting a bit of astringency in the form of stain. Feel like taste a little staining. I'm tasting some amount of mucilage. So I'm tasting flavor, but I'm tasting a blanch taste. So tasting aroma. Slight astringent. and some amount of mucilage. So what I want to do is I want to go through some herbs with you, tasting those herbs, and then when you become familiar with identifying the different flavors and tastes and experiences, then what we'll do is we'll now go into the possible chemicals responsible for those experiences and tastes, and what are the medicinal benefits of those chemicals. That's how basically we're going to use science to verify what our ancestors and what traditional medicine has been advocating for years. I love to see it when the headline says modern tests have confirmed that noni is good for this and that and that and that. Modern tests have now confirmed that marijuana is good for this and this and that and that and that. It's funny how we don't understand that ancient medicine had a lot of wisdom in it. Ancient medicine had a lot of experiences in it. Our Jamaican ancestors who practiced natural medicine, and how do we know that it worked? Hey, we're here, aren't we? So the only form of medicine that was around before modern medicine was natural medicine. How do we know it worked? We're still here. We're still here. So we know that it works. And the only challenge that really is there is that our ancestors did not do a good job of recording, like other cultures, the validity and the experiences that they've had. But for hundreds of years, it worked because it is what kept them alive. It was what kept them healthy. It was all that they knew. And it's just a shame that we have allowed modern medicine to throw away what kept us alive, what kept us healthy for years, in exchange for what's new, what's being tested, what's not being verified. And sadly, even though some persons are being helped, what is for the majority hurting and killing our people. As I said, my goal is to bring in Caribbean medicine to a place where it can be respected. I'm not asking for it to be accepted. I'm asking for it to be respected. There's a difference. I'm not asking our healthcare system to accept it. That's a choice. You don't have to accept it. But what I'm asking our healthcare system in Jamaica to do is to respect it. To respect it as the system of healthcare that has kept us healthy, kept us alive up to this point. And to further accept that there are a lot of wisdom. You know, what I believe the University of the West Indies, what I believe our modern medicine should be doing is doing some research to verify so that we can own this. This is ours. You can't give up what you know for years, what you have for years in exchange for something that you don't have. The medicine that we import as a healthcare system that we give to our people, do we have the mechanism? Do we have the tools to verify the validity of the claims? Or are we just going with what has been given to us? Why not spend money on better understanding why what we have worked than taking something else that we are clueless about that we are at the mercy of validating for ourselves. And respect to me also means creating a space in our healthcare system for those persons who choose to use this traditional ancient form of healing, respecting and allowing and creating a space for those persons to continue to do what they do. Why would you try to impose and create restriction on people who have for years used and trust a system that has kept them alive? I am a strong advocate that it is time for us as a people, as a nation, to understand that in the age and in the era that we are in, we should be spending more to validate what we've been using for years. You know, I look at the issue of the cockpit country. I stand with the chief, and any chief in particular, that will seek to preserve the raw materials and the tools that we have. There are herbs and there are plants that grow in the cockpit that grow nowhere else in Jamaica. There's a herb that I was up in the Blue Mountain, and there's a herb that I am intending to find and to find. It's a herb that grows way up, and there are some herbs I can think. There's a herb like wild cinnamon. Wild cinnamon does not grow where human beings are. It's grown miles in the hills. I haven't gone there because it's so far in the hills. There's a herb called boar gum. It's called boar gum because in Portland, this is wild pig country. This is a herb that when you go and hunt the wild hog and you injure the wild hog, if that hog does not die, that hog goes into the wild and it's in search for one particular herb. Once the hog eats the bark of that herb, that hog is going to heal. The hunters, some of the persons who hunt the wild hog, of course they know this tree, because of course this is a tree that they use when they are injured themselves, that when it is applied, accelerates the healing process. And there are many other herbs like that in the cockpit, and there are many other herbs like that. These are the treasure that as a people we have. I believe, and I keep on advocating, that I can't understand why a country of land, wood and water would spend billions of dollars on tourism and not spend billions of dollars on wood and herbs. One of the greatest resources that this nation have is not the beautiful attraction. It is the fact that we have herbs that have medicinal and healing properties found nowhere else in the world. I'm not waiting on the Jamaican government to explore that. I'm not waiting on academia to explore that. I've taken up the responsibility on myself to identify these herbs, their healing properties, and to share that knowledge with as many persons as possible in an effort to restore our medicine to the place of ascendancy that it once had. Why can't we be like countries like China that have Western medicine alongside traditional Chinese medicine? Why can't we have Western medicine being practiced along with indigenous Caribbean medicine? Why can't we have Western medicine and within the Ministry of Health have a unit for natural medicine? How can you discard a medicine that has kept our people alive up until this point? How do we reach such a stage? How can we become so brainwashed that we lose respect for what has kept us alive until now in exchange for something that we don't know. I'm using this platform because I'm calling on every single descendant of Africa, because Jamaica has been a recipient. When they captured slaves to Jamaica, all slaves were not equal. There was a higher premium being placed on slaves that had the knowledge of herbs and medicines. So a lot of priests, priestess, and the daughters of priests and priestess that came to Jamaica. So I believe Jamaica is a reservoir of ancestors from healers. And I believe that it is time for us to call upon, to evoke, to awake, and to release these herbal healers. A lot of you are watching, are the descendants. You have a bigger responsibility. You shouldn't be in the police force. You shouldn't be in the bank. Your natural inclination, your natural spiritual predisposition is to be a healer. How long are you going to ignore the tugging in your spirit when you dream about the herbs, see the herbs? A lot of you preachers and pastors are trying to manifest yourself as supernatural spiritual healers when your natural predisposition, your DNA is one of such, where you come from a long line of natural healers, and that is still inside of you, calling out to you, but you don't know how to access it. You don't know how to channel it. You don't know where to go. Each of us have different roles and responsibilities to play. My role, I believe, is to create a resurgence in the knowledge and in the proper use of Jamaican and Caribbean herbs for the upliftment of our people. As I say, why do I say that? It is because in the next decade, food and medicine are going to be our greatest challenges. We cannot sit and wait until that time comes. We have to invest now so that we can be ready when that time comes. We need to create a reservoir and a pool of healers so that when medicine cannot be imported, when food cannot be imported, we can, as a people, have a pool and a reservoir of natural healers. One of the things that I always say about Jamaica is we are too responsive. We do not need a response to food shortage. We will not need a response to a shortage of medicine. What we need now is a proactive, calculative, intentional effort to position ourselves not to be at the mercy of those persons who will be giving us food or giving us medicines. I don't know about you, but I will not be one of those persons. I am not going to be one of those persons. I'm going to ensure that me and my children and those around me equip ourselves with the tools so that we can help ourselves and we can help our people. I want to thank you for joining me on this herb walk. I hope that it was informative. I hope that all of you that join will actually complete your assignments. This is an informal class that I'm having because I'm just too passionate to wait until the 15th of January to start. But I also don't want to give away for free what persons will be paying to acquire. So in my zeal, I'm going to try my utmost best to restrain myself as best as is possible. Not because I don't want to give it away, but one of the things I've learned is that when things are given away for free, most time it's not valued. I could have offered the course for free because I'm not doing it for the money, even though we needed to develop the kibbutz. But one of the reasons why I'm charging is because I want it to cost you something so that you will give value to it. So I'm hoping that from this video, I will see more persons applying for our college, the Boston Institute of Natural Medicine Diploma in Indigenous Caribbean Medicine that starts on the 15th of January. Orientation is going to be on the 8th, so we're still accepting students. I hope and pray that you, as busy as you are, that you will understand that you are teaching. You are a teacher, you are an accountant, you are a pastor, you're an evangelist, you're a mechanic, you're an engineer, you're a construction worker. But your natural predisposition, you can't pass a plant without taking a second look, without touching it, without interacting with it. You can't ignore the curiosity, the compelling curiosity that you have to want to know. It is the healing ancestral blood that is flowing through your vein that compels you to act, that is compelling you and summoning you to release that which is inside of you. I can't teach anybody to heal. You're natural healers already. I'm just giving you the raw tools. I'm just giving you the tools to harness and to utilize that craft. I want to thank you for joining me on this journey. And I hope and pray that I have inspired you, that I've challenged you, that I've provoked you to act. I'm almost compelled to say, if you don't have it, if you want to do the course and don't have the money, still reach out to me, because it's not about the money. Some of you who are the most gifted and the most called and the most potentious may not be in a position to afford what I'm charging. Still reach out to me. I want to hear from you. What I'm doing is not for myself. It is for my country. It is for my people. It's for my nation. It is to lift the level of ignorance and to create a platform. My goal is to see and envision a list of practitioners across the length and breadth of the Caribbean, across the length and breadth of Jamaica, practicing uniformity, but also having this space to express their individualistic revelation, intuition, and inspiration through their practice. I want to thank you for spending the time to listen to me. Again, I hope I provoked you. I hope I challenged you. I hope I convicted you. And only time will tell. I'm looking forward to seeing you and hearing from you. And I hope that this lesson today was a blessing to you, was helpful to you. I want to hear from you. You know, give me some interactions and some feedback on the chats. And I'm going to put my WhatsApp number in the description. Don't overwhelm me. Message me, text me, call me, but preferably text me, message me, and I will get back to you. It's very difficult. I work in 3 different clinics. I'm traveling, I'm writing, I'm videoing, I'm editing. It's very difficult for me to take calls at times. But I try. And sometimes I'm gonna put 2 numbers. Because sometimes I will tell you to do what I just tell you to do and still don't get a chance to respond to you. So I'm gonna give you some numbers for my different offices, because these guys always make sure that I respond. So I'm gonna give you not only my number, I'm gonna give you my personal number, but the number for my Portland office, St. Thomas office, and Kingston office. So if you don't get me, at least you'll get somebody who will ensure that your message gets to me. I want to thank you. It has been my utmost desire. As you can see, I feel like I would just want to be on for the whole day. It has been my utmost desire doing this herb walk with you, and I'm hoping to see you next week, Sunday. So until next time, this is Dr. Ben-Yisrael saying that your health is your responsibility, and the greatest weapon against sickness and disease is education, not medication. See you next week. Bye-bye.